Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, as we sat here preparing for the podcast episode right now,
The
I
playoffs
did not,
podcast episode.
the first playoffs episode, I had not read through all of the news that you had put down. You're the one who did all the research for this. And maybe 30 seconds ago, I just read this. So I'm just now realizing the Vancouver Canucks have fired general manager Patrick Alvin. I did not hear about that somehow, unless it happened like 20 minutes ago.
It happened sometime this morning.
That's surprising, right?
No,
Like, does that not feel like a guy that the Aquilini, despite how you think everyone thinks he does, like, it felt like the Aquilinis liked him. But not only that, like, they trusted him to trade out Quinn Hughes, and he did a pretty good job of it. Like, I didn't
yeah,
like
I
hardly
think
any of his moves when they were trying to be competitive, but he hasn't done a horrible job at tearing it down.
kind of has a little bit. I think they do like him, but I think that only gets you so far because at the end of the day, it still is a business, and I'm gonna say most teams because Vancouver kind of doesn't seem that way, but every organization wants to win the Stanley Cup, right? And
Yeah.
Patrick Alvin has done the exact opposite, really. He has really hurt this team. And that goes back to even last season, the whole stuff between Elias Pettersson, JT Miller. You trade out JT Miller when you probably should have tried to move Pettersson first at that time. You get a first round pick back, which is good, but then you flip it for Marcus Pettersson, which wasn't great. Then you did end up trading Quinn Hughes, who, usually a pretty quiet guy when he's in Vancouver, but then as soon as he gets traded, he won't stop singing about how awful the Canucks are and all these things. And then on top of it, giving out extensions that make no sense. And obviously the Evander Kane situation, but his contract's up this season, so that's fine. But
I'm surprised they weren't able to move him at the deadline. I thought for sure a team would pick him up.
I don't think anyone wanted him.
A third, a fourth. Like,
I don't think any team. Yeah, I mean maybe, but was Vancouver willing to retain, or were they like, hey, if you want him, you're eating a full salary? And knowing Vancouver, I wouldn't.
What 1 year left? There's no way they weren't willing to retain on a full 50% for one season. Like they clinched bottom of the league like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. It is Vancouver though, but I think what really hurt him was, and kind of made it like, all right, he's going out the door, is you signed Connor Garland to that 6-year extension. You traded him before the extension even kicked in because things went south. You gave Thatcher Demko a 3-year extension at 8.50, which kicks in the summer.
It hasn't even
when
started.
You already knew he couldn't. He was having trouble staying healthy and didn't even make it halfway through the season this year and went down with his season-ending injury. And again, that extension kicks in this summer. Kevin Lankinen, you gave him a $4.5 million extension for 5 years for a guy that was presumed to be your backup because you just signed Demko to a big, extension in terms of money. So, did they like him? Yeah, probably. Was he fucking awful? Aside from kind of the Quinn Hughes return? Yeah. And even then, the Quinn Hughes return is good, but you lost Quinn Hughes. You lost the centerpiece of your franchise.
Yeah.
So it's like it could be like Edmonton trades Connor McDavid, and it's like, oh, I mean, when you look at it on paper, they got Edmonton got a great fucking return, but it's like, yeah, but they also traded Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, that's totally fair, and I am interested because it's such an old boys club. You just know Alvin's going to find a job somewhere else. Maybe not in a full-on head GM capacity right away, but I'm very interested to see if he does end up getting that job somewhere else at some point. How he does there, it's not super dissimilar to okay, Sheldon Keefe's on the Devils. Let's see what he looks like as a coach outside of this weird ass situation in Toronto. It's like he was a GM in Vancouver for a while, but we know not only are the Aquilinis pretty consensusly the worst owners in the NHL, but also right at the top of the list for most meddling owners. They love to get in there and tell their guys what to do. They're the ones who went to whoever the GM was at the time and said, we need to get OEL. I love that player. Go get him. And that was horrendous for them. So
ended up
it'd be interesting to see what he could do as a GM somewhere else where he's not clearly just a puppet having his strings pulled by the owners. But that said, at the end of the day, if you don't, even if you're just kind of the patsy, a bunch of bad shit happened in your name, you got to get fired at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was time, and interesting to see who Vancouver will bring in. As they're one of the very few teams in the league that are in a full-on rebuild right now. So interesting to see who they bring in to kind of run that, and we'll see on that. One GM that they can't hire, Sonny Mehta, as we know, he's officially off to the New Jersey Devils. That was made official yesterday. I don't know if you knew. I wasn't aware that he had some pretty good ties to New Jersey. Has a bit of a history with New Jersey, so it sounds like it was a pretty easy decision for him to join the Devils as their new GM.
Yeah. I didn't know a ton about that. The only links I had heard was how he is. I don't think he's the owner. I think his agent owns or is a high up in the organization the Toronto Maple Leafs hired to find the next best guy for the GM and president of hockey ops. So it's weird that he has such a close tie to the guys trying to find the new hire, and he basically didn't pick himself. He went somewhere else instead. But I mean, at the end of the day, if he's got the ties in New Jersey, then makes sense. And he's a very the reason so many people want him is he's so kind of this new wave of doing things. He's very analytic driven, and I have to imagine that plays into it from his perspective. I have to imagine he looked at both teams, looked at a bunch of advanced stats, looked at a bunch of contracts, and went, I think I can make a better situation out of New Jersey than Toronto.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And again, we've never seen him as a GM before, so I don't think there's really any expectations quite yet placed on him. But overall, I think, given his time in Florida and whatnot, and what he kind of was a part of helping create there, I do think this is a good hire for New Jersey, and that's all about I can say.
And for those who doubt how just for those who don't understand just how analytic driven he is, he got this job after being an advanced stat genius for years, including writing and publishing an entire book on odds that has to do with Texas Hold'ems and poker. He wrote an entire book on the odds and the numbers behind poker. So
this is a smart guy.
I'm a bit more of a fiction guy myself. That sounds pretty dry to me, but I bet it means a lot to somebody who knows how the numbers work. So
no, yeah, absolutely. I wasn't even aware of that, so that's even more impressive there to kind of add on to his resume, even though it's not quite hockey related. It can be when it comes down to the way he sees numbers. Moving on though. A couple of new franchise records set here. The first one being who did it? Oh, I guess Mark Scheifele did it first, passing Kyle Connor, and sets the Winnipeg Jets single season points record with 103. Kyle Connor set it last year, I believe it was, with 97. And now Mark Scheifele passes him and goes on to record 100 points on the season, which is is incredible for Mark Scheifele. Now holds the record at 103. Yeah, again, Winnipeg was kind of the top. It was their top dogs, and that was it. Really.
This is just a random bit of a comparison, but is Mark Scheifele Canada's Jason Robertson? Look at this guy's stats. How the hell does he not make the Olympic team? Like, for the respective countries, it's like, you look at it,
I had him picked to make it at the time.
I'm pretty sure I didn't. I had him on the list of players that might be in that in the kind of like scratched players role. I think it was between him and Seth Jarvis for me, and I was like, Jarvis, you can kind of put anywhere in the lineup. Scheifele has to be top 6. So,
but we were saying that at the time, but then funny enough, actually the way Team Canada put their lines together, it's like, oh, you just play anywhere, really.
Yeah.
Because guys we had penciled in as like bottom 6 roles, it's like they're in the top 6. So,
I mean, Tom Wilson played on the top line for a lot of it.
Like, yeah, Tom Wilson, yeah.
And you know what? I think they knew more than we did. Like, I think that's a good way to do it. It's Team Canada. You don't have to run the top 6, bottom 6 style that NHL teams need to, because there's so much more talent. There's no salary cap. Like, so. Yeah. But good on Scheifele. 103 points is crazy. Like,
yeah.
I did not think he would be putting up better seasons than Kyle Connor. That's ridiculous. Like, everyone talks about Kyle Connor as one of the most underrated players in the league because he's such a good point producer and goal scorer on Winnipeg, but
Scheifele is right in there. He's right in there, yeah. Absolutely. And the other franchise record set, McKinnon Celebrini, at the age of 19 years old, passes Joe Thornton and sets the San Jose Sharks single season points record with 115. Joe Thornton holding the record at 114. Celebrini 2 assists, and then scores a goal to pass the record and beat Joe Thornton by 1 point.
I know you've that you've probably seen it because I imagine you watched the game. But man, that shift after he had the 2 points, dude, he should have gone off like 3 times, but they had offensive zone pressure, and he was like, no, I want to fucking be out here and I want to score. And the whole, it looked very similar to Tampa's game 82 as well. You know, everyone's just trying to get the puck to Cooch. If Cooch passed, because they wanted him to get the Art Ross, they pass it to Cooch. 1 pass, 2 passes, and then they're all like, okay, can I score? Can I pass it back to that guy and he scores? Or do I go back to Cooch? Nobody wanted to make the 3rd pass and take him out of like the point on that goal, right? And it looked very similar for San Jose. They would make 2 passes and they're like, where the fuck's McKinnon? And he was constantly trying to get open. Great shot. Yeah. I love the whole team spraying him with water bottles. That was fun. Like,
it was a big moment for the team, given that, you know, at this point, you know, when it happened, because it only happened last night, the Sharks were already missing the playoffs, so it was at least a high note that they could end the season on. Yeah, I mean, Celebrini is just a incredible talent, in my opinion, maybe because I'm a Sharks fan. You know, by beginning of next season, probably top 5 player in the league, guaranteed top 10.
Yeah, I think he's top 10 for sure.
What top he's been 5 able to do, and
top 5 is like dependent on the start of next season, pretty much. Yeah, we've seen enough now that if he does it in the first month of next season, it's like, all right, he is there. Like, we don't need to see it for long.
With the season ending here for the Sharks and Celebrini having a birthday during the summer, he will no longer be a teenager in the league by the start of next season, but I think he finished 4th all-time for points by a teenager. I think this season put him in 3rd for most points in a season by a teenager, and he joins Wayne Gretzky as the only other teenager in NHL history to have 40 goals and 70 assists in a season. which is absolutely nuts.
It's ridiculous. Like, anytime you can be alone with Wayne Gretzky in a stat is just insane. Celebrini is 5th all time in points by a teenager, with 178. Jimmy Carson is 4th with 186. Dale Hawerchuk 194. Wayne Gretzky 220. Wayne Gretzky in 2nd at 220, but with 222, it's the kid himself, Sidney Crosby.
Yeah. And so he's up there with some pretty elite company, and obviously, yes, any hockey fan in the world right now, who's the best player in the game? It's Connor McDavid.
Yeah,
Connor McDavid. It took him until his 4th season to go beyond 110 points, where he had 116. So again, like, who's the better player right now? It's obviously Connor McDavid, but what Celebrini's doing earlier on is more impressive than what Connor McDavid was doing earlier on.
I gotta disagree with that. I think it was a different time. Connor McDavid did that when the league average save percentage was still at like a 912. Like, he won the Art Ross in his second year, didn't he?
Yeah, but you also got to look at who each guy had to play with. Like, Celebrini's playing with fucking John Klingberg as his defenseman. Like, it was the league easy. Like, is the league easier now? Yeah, but
I have no idea.
Well, he had like Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins. They still had Oscar Klefbom at the time. Fucking awful that he ended up.
That's such a good hockey name. That's
also,
such a good, like, remember this guy.
Eberle for times. They did have Lucic when he was dropping 50 points there. So he had talent there. Never had goaltending, but did still have talent around him.
It's hard to argue that he won the Art Ross in his second year, though. But either way, both seasons are insanely impressive. Frankly, this also highlights for me just how good Joe Thornton is. I think people really disrespect that. He had 115 points in a single season. That was in what? Which year was that? 2005 to 6?
06, 07.
06, 07. They're still kind of in the dead puck era at that point. They're starting to come out of it, but scoring is still down from what we've known over the last decade at that point.
Yeah.
Him putting up 115 is crazy too.
Well, 114.
114 rather. But yeah, Celebrini's been unreal, and he, like you said, this summer he's going to turn 20 years old. Like,
yeah, and then as the team continues to only get better around him, that'll make it so much easier for him, because you just, when you watch him play, it's kind of him having to do a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
So, and then the game will just become so much easier for him once you have other players that maybe can't carry the play the way he does, but they can kind of help generate more offense that he can work with, as opposed to him trying to, make it work for everybody else. I
will say, I think some people look at that as just black and white how it works, and I do think it definitely does to an extent. I'm not saying better line mates don't get you more points, but I do think there is something to be said for, once the team gets better and deeper, the other people start maybe getting a couple more minutes time on ice. Like, maybe you're not out there as much. Other guys on your line are going to hold on to the puck because they're good enough to make plays now. Like, you watch Celebrini out there, and everyone's trying to play through him because they know he's the best out there. At a certain point, maybe there's a couple other guys out there where it's like, I don't have to pass it to Connor. I could pass it to Leon, and he's going to score. Not that I think his scoring's going to dry up at all. Like, I think he's going to get only better. But
yeah, we did mention Connor McDavid though, and we do now know for sure that he has won his 6th career Art Ross Trophy as the NHL's leading points scorer in the regular season. Kind of just really turned it on the second half of the season, and like, he ended up winning it by 8 points.
I was going to say, how many,
second, 130.
How many did he have last night?
third, 127. Then Celebrini, 115. Mark Scheifele, fifth in the league in scoring, 103. Way to go, Scheifele. McDavid, he had 4.
He had 4
assists last night.
He really won it with that 5-point game against the Sharks on April 8th.
Yeah, where he just went nuclear.
Him and Kucherov were tied at that point, and then by the end of the season, he was up 5 points on, or at least by the time Kucherov played his game 82, he was up by 5 or 4 or something like that. And
yeah,
it was
4,
just that, and then he just went crazy in that game, and then he dropped another 4 in the final game just to really cement it. I think it's crazy how many games though the top 3 guys or even 4 guys for the Hart Trophy, just how many games they've individually taken over. But those 2 specifically, by McDavid being so fresh in the mind of voters right at the end, it's what puts him over the top for the Art Ross. I wouldn't be shocked at all if McDavid ends up winning the Hart Trophy, because all eyes were on them at the end of the season for the trophy race, and everyone was watching, and he fucking showed up.
Yeah, so the more that I kind of start to hear stuff about NHL awards, the more I start to just not give a shit and just think they're honestly just kind of straight up meaningless. Quite a few voters are saying they're voting for Cale Makar for the Norris because he's the best defenseman in the world. Why'd we not vote for the best defenseman in the world for the Norris? It's like, well, it's the best defenseman this season. And was Cale Makar the best defenseman this season? No. But then some guys are being like, I don't want to vote McDavid for the Hart because I vote for him every year. I'm getting tired of it. It's like, well, so then it's just like it makes no sense. Then
do something else.
They're punishing McDavid, but they're praising Makar when McDavid deserves Hart votes, and Makar, in my opinion, probably deserves some, but it's 3rd, 4th, and 5th place votes. But yeah.
That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous to be like, I'm going to vote for this guy because he's the best, and I know he is. So what? Are they also voting Barkov for the Selke because they know he's the best 2-way player? Like,
exactly, right? Like,
what are we doing?
That's why I'm just like it. So to me, it's like if that happens and McDavid, it doesn't mean McDavid has to, but McDavid should be 1 or 2. You know, if he's second, okay, whatever. If he wins, sure. But if McDavid's outside the top 2 for the Hart, in my opinion, and again, even for me, I don't think Celebrini should be 1 or 2. I'll just throw that out there. But then Cale Makar wins the Norris. It's like I don't put any stock into awards at that point, really. At least for
I think a lot of people are genuinely starting to put less stock into the awards because year over year we're seeing these guys where, you know, it's the same as the year when MacKinnon won the Hart over Kucherov, and people say Kucherov got robbed of the Hart that year. I think he should have won. I think it was close enough that it is not robbery. I think he should have won, but I don't think he didn't get screwed. But like, you look at the voting, and it's like basically everyone who had Kucherov at 1 had MacKinnon at 2. They're like, these are the 2 top guys, obviously. The amount of voters that had MacKinnon first and Kucherov at like 5th or off the ballot is ridiculous. There was
wrong,
7 of them. And it's like, that's now you're just like strategically voting to get your guy to win, which is not your job.
Which is just is Bush League. It's the same as was it McDavid was 49 out of 50 first place votes for the Hart the one year, and one guy had him 5th and had Pasternak first, and it's like
he put up like 1.88 points per game in a shortened season. Like they played 56 games, and I think McDavid hit like 99 or 98 points. And this one guy's I
think he had over 100.
I think he might have hit. I think even in the shortened season, I think he's still hit 100.
64 games played, 97 points. Very fitting 97.
I would say because it broke up his 100-point season streak.
Yeah, the year before that, 56 and 105. That was the year when it was only the divisions kind of like playing each other.
Yeah.
So he was over. He was close to 2 points per game.
2 points per game. And some guy said, nope, he was the 5th best.
Yeah, it's like
shut the fuck up, dude.
Like you're just fucking knob and a loser.
Yeah. Like if you're gonna go outside and be like if you have McDavid third on the Hart Trophy voting this year, I think you can make an argument for it. If you have him off the ballot, or if you have him fifth, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Like, there are some things where it's like, I'll hear an argument. It's weird, but I'll hear it. There's some things where I'm just like, I'm sorry that you're not going to convince me you shouldn't have your voting credentials removed. Like,
yeah. No, I'm right there. Because again, I think this year it's really for the Hart, in my opinion. There's 5 people you can vote between. That's McDavid, Kucherov, MacKinnon, Celebrini, and Werenski. And again, I don't think it necessarily matters as much as it should, but I understand that Celebrini and Werenski aren't going to get as many votes because they missed the playoffs, and that's fine. It's McDavid, Kucherov, MacKinnon, should end up being the top 3, I think, given what we know. But we've been swerved before. Nathan MacKinnon, though, winning his first career Rocket Richard Trophy, 53 goals on the season. Cole Caulfield in second, 51. McDavid third at 48. And then tied at fourth, Celebrini, Jason Robertson, Wyatt Johnston, Kirill Kaprizov, all at 45. And I'll throw Kucherov in there as the lone guy at 8 with 44.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost weird, right? Like, because we went through a couple of years where, holy shit, Auston Matthews got 69 goals. And all of a sudden we had
Pasternak did he hit 60?
He hit 60 at least once. I think that was one of the years. I don't know if that's the same year that Matthews hit 69, but there was one year where we had 2 60 goals.
Actually, I think it was, it was the same.
And then we also had 57 goals apiece by Sam Reinhart and Zach Hyman. And it was like, holy shit, like, guys. We're getting goal scoring like crazy, and then all of a sudden we've got 2 50 goal scorers. That's it. And last year we only had 1, right? Didn't Draisaitl win the Rocket and he was the only guy to hit 50?
Yeah. And I'm not even sure he went. He was 51.
I think so. Like, I think it was close. Like, and
last season
he mopped the floor with everyone in goal scoring. I don't know if anyone else even hit.
He did have 52. He kind of ran away with it, and it was like
he ran away with it with a relatively low number compared to what we've seen. So it's weird how much goal scoring is going up in the league, but the very top guys aren't getting that many of the goals themselves as much as they are just getting points across the board.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And a lot of incredible seasons. Like, to start the year, knew Cole Caulfield was going to have a good season. Didn't expect him to be the lone guy in second. Didn't expect Celebrini to be up there at 45 goals. Same with Wyatt Johnston. I thought they'd kind of be in that 35 to 40 range. Jason Robertson, people say they're surprised. I say it's a contract year, so we knew he was going to do this. Steven Stamkos, though, 42. Very impressive. Cutter Gauthier, 41. Dylan Guenther, Tage Thompson, also 40. Matt Boldy, 42. Like, there's a lot of new names starting to put themselves in here as
one of the quietest,
one short at 39.
Like, Dylan Guenther, that's like one of the quietest 40 goal seasons I've ever seen. Nobody's talking about him. It's funny. If you ever watch any of those videos that TSN puts out where they interview players and they're like, who's a guy who has a ridiculous shot? Who's a guy who's good at this? So often those guys, especially when they're interviewing Team Canada, they're like, Dylan Guenther. No, like, I'm pretty sure Connor McDavid at one point was interviewed and they're like, who have you played with that has one of the best underrated shots? And he's like, Dylan Guenther is ridiculous. Like, he's one of those guys where, like, if he's your answer for something if you know puck. Like, he's kind of a deep cut in there. Yeah. Obviously, because he's also very young, but I think he's going to shock people next season once Logan Cooley's back full time.
Yeah, because he did that with Logan Cooley missing some time. Absolutely. And the last trophy that we know has been locked up. Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood, the two Woods, combined together to win the William M. Jennings Trophy for fewest goals allowed throughout the regular season. 203. and it's kind of looking
go
like
off
the
of that,
next.
or is it just goals against average?
Nope, just the least goals allowed all season.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they had 203. It's looking like the next closest was Dallas at 226.
It would make sense if it wasn't that close.
They had it. They kind of easily, ran away with it, and also, most goals scored by the Avs, a plus 99 differential on the season.
Jeez.
So congrats to Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood on the Jennings. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I know there have been a decent amount of Avs fans saying that they think Wedgwood should be getting more Vezina consideration. And frankly, I don't hate the argument because his numbers are very good. It's one of those cases where they pretty evenly split the starts. I think Wedgwood got a couple more, but I think he was still at like 45 or something. Like he didn't have starter numbers. So I think that hurts his case a lot, but I mean, the numbers look real solid. I think he had a 918 save percentage to end the year, which when the league average is 896, I believe. Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. I know you had a little trivia thing we can do. I'm just going to throw these out here before we start to get into our playoff stuff here. So the Winnipeg Jets and the Florida Panthers both miss the playoffs this year, meaning this is only the second time ever that the reigning Cup champs and President's Trophy winning teams both missed the playoffs the following season. Last time that happened was in 2015 when President's Trophy winning Boston Bruins and Stanley Cup winning LA Kings both missed. So it's only second time it's ever happened, and Florida obviously dealing with a lot of injuries and Winnipeg being close in there. But the more I watched Winnipeg this year, Connor Hellebuck really hid a lot of the problems that this Jets team had. You know, you look at Hellebuck didn't even have a single shutout this year. Even
he didn't have one.
He didn't have one. Yeah.
Wow, that's actually
I think
crazy.
He really
that's
was
a crazy stat.
He was really hiding a lot of problems that team had. Now, when you really start to look at him this year,
100%.
And we were talking about it a couple weeks ago when it is official. The Utah Mammoth, in their first official season as the Mammoth, are the only team in NHL history in the salary cap era to go into 0 shootouts in a full season. 82 games played and not a single shootout for the Mammoth, which is pretty nuts. That never happened once, though.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. And like, I get they're just either really good or they will lose quickly in overtime. Like I assume not a ton of games went to OT for them, and the ones that did, they just closed out pretty quickly. Like that is really impressive, and that's what you'd like it to look like, right? Like you'd like to see games get solved in OT more often, and then if they go long and they have to, then they go to a shootout. But like,
I was watching
you'd prefer
Vancouver the other night,
and
Vancouver was puck ragging in overtime because Lankinen was in, and at the time Lankinen was 17 for 17 on shootouts this season. Faced 17 shots, hadn't allowed a goal in. So Vancouver was puck ragging it in overtime to try and get it to the shootout because they had faith in their goalie. And it's like, well, it was just fucking lame. It was so boring, but yeah, pretty impressive though for Utah. Not a single shootout on the season. Before we get into the stuff you came here for, the playoff matchups and our predictions for round one, along with, I think we'll give our cup final prediction as well for who we think will meet in the cup final, win the Stanley Cup. Braden, you had a little bit of trivia or something of some sorts you wanted to do here?
Yeah, not so much trivia, just as some stuff that I found right before we started. I opened up Puckpedia and it had a big thing flashing at the top. that was a link that I could click on, and it brought me to a page outlining, now that the season is over, what we know about cap overages because of bonuses for next season. And there's a couple of teams that are going to have even less money than the salary cap allows because guys got bonuses throughout the year. And there are also a couple teams already on here that have ones that could kick in if they do certain things in the playoffs.
Okay.
So the team with the biggest bonus overage is the New York Islanders, because Matthew Schaefer hit the maximum. He hit every single bonus that he possibly could this year. He hit the A tier bonus for goals, assists, points per game, and time on ice. And that's going to cost the Islanders $3.5 million on the salary cap next season in overages.
Damn.
I don't know how much they'll be hurting for that room, and for Schaefer putting that up, you're easily willing to pay that. That's awesome that he hit all those.
Absolutely.
But that does make it harder for them to build a bit of a contender next year. Some of the other teams up there, the Colorado Avalanche, $2.3 million. What's theirs from? Looks like that's a lot. Brent Burns earned $3 million.
Boy, Burns.
By playing in 10 games. Wow. Damn. $3 million for playing 10 games in bonuses. Good for him, I guess.
The guy who has the longest active Ironman streak in the league. Like, yeah, he was gonna hit those 10 games.
Is that some
Winnipeg's got to be up there, right?
Is that just savvy cap moving? Are they allowed to do that? They pay him $1 million this year, $1 million to Burns this year, and they give him a super easy to reach bonus. So they're like, here, we're going to pay you $4 million. We only have $1 million in cap space. So the other $3 million is going to come at the end of the year. Like that's a little borderline cap circumvention there, right? They knew he would easily hit that bonus. But they wanted that cap to be added next year so they could compete this year. I don't know. I've never seen something spelled out. On the flip side,
then they're paying Burns technically $3 million next year, and he might not even be on the team.
Oh, 100%.
So that's potentially $3 million of dead cap space, which would hurt.
When teams are going all in for the playoffs, you know.
I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, like Burns is at this point now like a fringe second pair, mostly third pair guy. So $1 million for him isn't crazy. Like, I mean, Jamie Benn signed in Dallas for $1 million. No, it's kind of just starting to be the thing. Veterans are cup chasing and just taking way less money because they're like, I've already made my money. I just want to win a fucking cup at this point.
I'm just thinking of a situation like, because that's not going to be a big storyline, right? It's Brent Burns, and the Avs were already good. But like, what if you do a bunch of players? Like when Nashville went out and got, we thought they were going to be a juggernaut because they just grabbed all these fantastic players and brought them in. Like, what if you bring in like 5 really good players and all of them only count $1 million against the cap, and you're like, you guys are all going to get fat paychecks in the summer, and you don't even have to make it 10 games. You could say play 3 games for the squad this season and you get that bonus. So like, we're going to be in cap hell next year, but like, if we win a cup now, we don't care.
But if you don't win a cup, your franchise is derailed for the next few, like your future is fucked. So, and the GM wouldn't do it because you maybe win a cup, but if you're the GM and it doesn't work, you're pretty much banned from the league at that point. No one will ever touch you with a 10-foot pole.
Well, I think if you
they wouldn't hire you, running the risk of we hire you, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm going to do it again," and then you're an owner now, and you're sitting there like, "Well, my franchise is."
Well, you would tell them when they get hired, you don't do this. Like, they tell the GMs what to do, and the GMs have to lay out these plans a lot. Like, they don't.
I get what you're saying.
Run wild.
We should move on. I get what you're saying.
I think that's a real thing that could happen. I 100%.
Because the player also, you have to think, right? Like, you tell a player, hey, maybe there's a chance you win the cup. If we don't, like what would the bonuses be? 10 mil for each guy?
Well, it depends what kind of guy it is, right? But I'm trying to think of a player going to free agency, but nobody's going to free agency. But like,
no one's going to free agency. Evander Kane.
Give him $1 million
Fucking
in salary.
Example.
$1 million in salary. $3 million. He'd probably take that. $4 million to play 5 games and then help us win a cup. Like, I think that's definitely something.
Then on
that
the
could
flip
happen.
side, you can't trade for any players with term, right? Like if you want to trade for Quinn Hughes, you kind of can't because you're going to have all that dead cap rolling over to next year.
Yeah,
type of thing. I do get what you're saying though, but yeah, it'd have to be guys that are like, like a Jamie Benn, a Brent Burns, guys you could
aging out.
they don't have to
if
be.
Sidney
big
Crosby at the end of
bonuses.
his contract was cup chasing, like,
yeah,
something like that,
and he's only going to take 8.7.
Yeah.
How high is Winnipeg on that list? Because Jonathan Toews played in all 82 games.
I thought
he
would
hit
be on
all
here.
his games played bonus.
He's not on the. They're not on the list.
Wow. So he must have been like the only one on the Jets.
I mean, he's making more than the Islanders have at the top of the list in bonus overages. So does that mean it only counted for this season, or was it next season?
So maybe his was just for this season.
Or maybe that increases the salary cap for next year, so it doesn't count as a bonus. I'm not too sure on that.
Yeah.
Some of the other big ones up there, the Dallas Stars are just over $2 million, plus $500K more if they get a win in the third round. That goes to Jamie Benn, and then Jamie Benn gets another $500K if they win the cup. So they could be up to $3 million. The Habs just under $2 million, and then they could get another. Looks like 150K-ish if Kapanen's named to the all-rookie team. The Devils have $1 million. The Sharks have about $1 million. The Oilers have $250,000. The Panthers have 100,000. And then there's a couple teams at the bottom that have none, but could get some in the playoffs. The Lightning will get a couple 100,000 if they do stuff in the playoffs for Corey Perry. And the Senators... It doesn't even say who their money's going to. It just says if Ottawa wins 2 rounds, 500K, 900K 3 rounds, and 1.5 mil if they win the cup. Don't know who that's going to. But does say Giroux. Claude Giroux.
Oh, Giroux. Well, that's that is stuff to keep an eye on, and I might have to look in a bit more on the Jonathan Toews one and see, because I know he got a lot of bonuses.
He's making almost like $5 million in his bonuses. So
yeah,
I'm wondering if they just don't count as overages for some reason.
Good on him. But with that, it is the time that everybody has been waiting for, probably what everybody's tuned in for. If you skip to this point in the video, welcome, or in the episode. The 2026 Stanley Cup Playoffs are here. We officially know what all 8 matchups are in the first round. So pretty simple. As always, just going to go through each series one by one, talk a little bit about the series, give our predictions, and then wrapping it up at the end, we will reveal who we think will be in the Stanley Cup final, and then we'll give our pick for the Stanley Cup winner. Braden, are you ready to talk playoffs?
I am so ready to talk about playoffs.
He is so ready to talk about playoffs. Let's start off with the Buffalo Sabres and the Boston Bruins. The Buffalo Sabres, who at the moment right now, first time in the playoffs in 15 years, have some of the highest priced tickets in recent years. They are really making Buffalo fans pay if they want to finally see their team in the playoffs, which I don't agree with, but maybe that just shows how many people are really wanting to get in there for.
I think there was just a massive demand for the tickets. It's funny because, also not only does it assume that they make it through the first round, which is like, you never want to just blanketly assume that, right? It's kind of a jinx, but the amount of Montreal Canadiens fans being like, the Sabres are going to be so disappointed when they see the Habs in round 2 and we take over their building. I know the Montreal Canadiens fans travel very well. They have a huge fan base, probably the biggest fan base in the NHL, I would say.
Yeah.
You couldn't take over that building if you fucking tried.
Yeah.
That Sabres fan base wants it so bad. You are not willing to mortgage your house the same way they are to watch 60 minutes of playoff hockey. Like,
yeah. No, you're
they
absolutely right.
they freaking want it, man. Like,
You're absolutely right.
and that's why these can be priced so crazy. And like the prices that scalpers are putting out there is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish there was some good way around scalpers, but it's just kind of one of those things. But as far as the actual hockey goes,
yeah, Buffalo Sabres first in the Atlantic, Boston first in the wild card. Boston winning the season series 3-1. And I threw in a couple little maybe potential X factors or things to focus on going into the series. Buffalo having the 4th ranked penalty kill in the league, and it'll go up against Boston's 10th ranked power play. So that's something to keep an eye on. Braden, what is your prediction for this series? And we can talk a little bit more about why we think what we think.
This one is interesting. Are there any real consequential injuries that we know about for either of these teams going into the playoffs?
As far as I know, I haven't seen anything super massive. Like most of the guys listed for Buffalo are all just day to day, but it's just rest because they didn't play in their last game.
Yeah.
Boston showing everybody healthy with a James Hagen's in the lineup too as well.
Oh, interesting. I think this is a lot closer. I think this is a lot closer than a lot of people are giving it credit for. It's weird. I have this feeling that if it goes 7, I think Boston wins that game 7. If it goes
in
6,
Buffalo,
then I think Buffalo can close it out earlier. This might be one of the closest series for me. I'm gonna lean Buffalo, so I'm gonna say Buffalo in 6.
That's exactly what I have written down is Buffalo in 6.
I'll say I would not be shocked if the Boston Bruins pulled it out, though. We've seen this team come back from the brink so many times.
Yeah, and I think it could be something as simple as Buffalo takes games 1 and 2 at home, loses 3 and 4 in Boston, win 5 at home, and then they go into Boston and take game 6. As I think home ice is going to be huge for Buffalo because, again, fans have waited 15 years for this moment. I do think Boston's got the edge when it comes to the goaltending. Even though Buffalo has gotten good goaltending this year, Jeremy Swayman is the best goalie in this series, so Boston gets that. It's for Boston again. It really feels like it's going to come down to their top guys are going to have to really put the team on their back. David Pastrnak, Morgan Geekie, Pavel Zacha, Charlie McAvoy, because this Buffalo team is it feels so deep, and they're getting production. And when I say production, not necessarily points, but everybody is playing their role on this team and having an impact in the games that they win.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that's what gives Buffalo the edge. It's just the fact that I think they can easily roll 4 lines, whereas I'm not quite sure Boston will be able to the same extent. Because again,
they're going to be a bit heavier on the top.
They rely so heavily on a David Pastrnak. If Boston's winning, you're not winning where Pasternak's playing, 16-ish minutes. Like he's going to have to be up there in that 18 to 20, potentially even more given the game. And so I think it's just going to be easier for Buffalo to stay a lot more fresh, healthier, but again, like it's going to be a close series. Probably a couple of these games are going to go to overtime. They're going to be 1-goal games, but even though Boston's got the experience, I'm with you on Buffalo.
I do think that the special teams could be massive if there's a lot of penalties in the series, because I think Boston probably
takes the 3rd most penalties in the league,
and I think their penalty kill is pretty solid, and I think I think their power play is smart enough that they can deal with this Sabres PK, despite the Sabres PK being 4th in the league. Like, the Bruins so consistently
Boston's
deal with
penalty kill
all of the
is
best
not
ones.
good, by the way. They're 24th in the league, 76.9%.
76. That is
Actually,
not good.
this now looks like it's updated. Boston, the second most penalties per game this season.
I know they have the player with the most. I'm pretty sure Zadorov has most out of any player in the league.
Yeah.
41 minor penalties. Going to have to do a lot. Their power play is going to have to do a lot of work for them.
Yeah.
And they're very used to playing the best penalty kills. Like, they play so many games a year against the Sabres, against the Leafs, who underratedly, people forget, have an insane penalty kill, and Tampa, who also has a very good penalty kill. Like, they deal with it a lot, and they still find a way to have the 10th best power play in the league on the season. So I think it's a bit of an underrated aspect, but
they're going to have to have it. But if you're Buffalo, and for Buffalo, it's be disciplined. If that's the one area that really gives Boston the advantage over you, you got to be smart then. If they're trying to draw penalties out of you, you got to skate away. And maybe that's something that will really benefit Boston because, again, they've got a lot more playoff experience on that roster than Buffalo. And maybe they can really get Buffalo riled up and to start taking some dumb penalties. And, Boston's a team, if you let them strike before you know it, it could be a 3-0 game. And then you're like, shit. And now you're just scrambling to try and keep up with them. So,
yeah,
it's definitely something to watch for. Absolutely. So we both got Buffalo in 6 in our first trip back to the playoffs in 15 years. Move on next to the next matchup in the Atlantic Division. Surely, we've got the Florida Panthers here, right? Surely Florida is in the playoffs, the back-to-back champs, right? Wrong. They missed. Probably going to keep their first-round pick though, and actually, I think they're guaranteed to at this point now.
I think they are. I believe they're 8th in the league.
Yeah,
8th last in the league, and
even if they fall back
to 10, I think it's top 10 protected, so they have it. I also got a bone to pick with Tankathon. I'm just trying to see some fun results on there, and the other day I did it 10 times. 7 of those times, the Panthers moved up to first or second, and I'm like,
Tankathon knows.
And the other 3 were all the Blackhawks moving up. So Tankathon's just like not having fun right now.
Yeah. But the official matchup that we do have, the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Tampa with home ice advantage in this series. Montreal winning the season series with a record of 2-1-1. And again, the potential X factor or thing to keep an eye on. Tampa, the 3rd best penalty kill in the league, going up against Montreal's 9th ranked power play. So very similar to Buffalo and Boston, the 4th PK versus the 10th power play. Braden, you are the Tampa Bay fanatic, the diehard Bolts fan, the Nikita Kucherov rider, I will call you. I'll let you set the scene and break it down and give us your thoughts.
I think this is going to be a close series. I think it's going to be a really fun series. These two teams do not like each other, and unfortunately, we're not going to see them both at their full strength. The Tampa Bay Lightning currently missing Pontus Holmberg from the shoulder injury, falling into the penalty box door. Victor Hedman is still out on his leave of absence from the team. We don't know what for. We don't know how much longer. Maybe he comes back game 1. Maybe he doesn't come back at all. Maybe middle of the series. It's hard to say. Noah Dobson on the Habs side is out for, I believe, at least basically the full first round. Maybe he shows up in a game 7 if needed. So there are some guys out, and then there's obviously just all a litany for both sides of lingering injuries and stuff guys are trying to work through. But I don't think that really makes or breaks it on either side. I think they're pretty close to offsetting. Yeah, this series feels like it's going to be very close, and it's just going to come down to who can play better team defense, I think. I think both teams have such great offense that it's going to neither side's going to be able to stop the other team from scoring, like outright. There's not going to be a lot of 1-goal games and stuff, but whoever can manage the offense enough and keep theirs going is going to end up winning. I think it's going to be a relatively high scoring series. Maybe a couple low scoring games sprinkled in there, despite the fact that both sides have very good goaltending. I think it's just at a certain point, it's like you look at the save percentage. It's like, oh, he had an 870 tonight, and it's like, well, yeah, but like 3 goals on cross crease, uncovered one-timers. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. I will say, I disagree with you when you say both teams have great goaltending.
They've been both getting good goaltending.
Yeah, like Montreal's been getting good goaltending from Dobes and Fowler, but both also rookies. They're no Andre Vasilevsky. And this is a time where they could maybe prove it, but right now, like, obviously I'm giving Tampa Bay the edge in goaltending.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. But Dobes has been very hot down the stretch, so we'll see if he can keep that up into the playoffs. I mean, play changes a lot for players. For goalies, it's probably a different vibe, but it's more of the same. It's not that different for a goalie, right? It's just the stakes are higher. Still the same game. But I'm very excited to see how this goes. I'm very glad that Tampa Bay was able to eke out home ice advantage. Normally, I do not care about that. Tampa plays well on the road. They don't seem to care about where they're playing. They just do their business. But the Habs clearly thrive at home. So the less we can give that to them, the better. They're probably, in my opinion, the most important team in the league to try and deny home ice advantage for. So
yeah,
I'm very excited. And before I give my prediction, I figure I'll throw it to you. And what is your prediction for how this series ends up shaking out?
Yeah, I mean, the way you kind of laid it out, I think, is, a lot of the stuff that we're all kind of thinking with this series. And yeah, kind of some, not really the quantity of injuries on both sides, but the quality. And the biggest ones being, obviously Noah Dobson, Victor Hedman, kind of big staples on the blue line for each side. It's definitely going to be a close series between these two teams. I mean, again, like they both finishing 106 points, right? Like Tampa only getting home ice advantage because of the tiebreakers. One thing I will say is Nikita Kucherov needs to score a fucking goal in the playoffs, please, because again, if he doesn't, it's Montreal and taking this one. But I think Kucherov is going to break the curse this year. And the one thing I will say is a lot of people are feeling pretty low on Tampa Bay, pointing out how, more specifically, Braden Point not really having a great year.
Very.
And I say, who fucking cares about that? This is a guy that's already won 2 cups. I could easily see him putting up 35 points in 27 playoff games and win the Conn Smythe.
I'm pretty sure he came second in Conn Smythe voting in 2020.
Yeah, he did, because he's earned that at this point in his career. If McDavid has a bit of a rough year and only has 100 points in 82 games, I don't think we're all going to be down on him. We're going to be like, it's Connor McDavid. He'll turn it around. And
we'll be excited to see him get back to that level.
But Point does have 2 cups to his name and has been a proven playoff performer. So there's that. Darren Radish is going to be massive for Tampa. I don't think Tampa wins this series if Darren Radish fades out. He needs to keep doing what he's been doing this year, and that being one of the best offensive defensemen in the league.
He has a chance to make a lot of money in not a ton of games here. He continued it. We thought he might fall off at some point. Nope. He just kept going throughout the entire season, put up a great regular season. If he can also put up some very solid defensive or offensive numbers for a defenseman in the playoffs too, I mean, now we're talking a ridiculous contract for a guy who was getting healthy scratched in October. Like now it's like, holy shit, this guy, like, if he puts up close to a point per game in the playoffs, like he might be getting like 11 mil or something like that.
No one will. No, he'll. Someone will at least give him like 8 to 9.5. I think.
Point per game, right-handed defenseman runs the top power play. If he does it in the regular season and the playoffs, I wouldn't be too shocked.
But he's already 30, and it took him until he was 30 years old to do that.
I'm not saying I think
if he's getting 11
contract.
I'm saying if he gets 11 mil, it's like a 1 or 2 year deal, and he's really just making. But again, I think he's gonna play it smart, and it's gonna be an 8 to 9 somewhere in there probably, but it's gonna be a
max term.
A long-term deal. For Montreal, obviously you got great seasons out of Suzuki, Caulfield, Hudson, Slavkovsky, Demidov. Out of those 5, which were kind of your 5 leading guys, Noah Dobson being just underneath them, Suzuki played in all 82, Hudson, Slavkovsky, Demidov all played in 82. Cole Caulfield, 81, did miss 1 game. So Montreal's been relatively healthy from their top guys. Tampa has not. That potentially could be huge for Montreal, but on the flip side, it could hurt them because that is a lot of miles tagged onto these guys already, especially Nick Suzuki, who did go to the Olympics as well.
Who's never missed a game in his career. People are starting to pick up on that stat. We've talked about Mo Seider being like that for a while. Suzuki never missed a game in his career.
No, that's true. Yeah,
I believe behind Brent Burns, he currently has the NHL Ironman streak. So, that's good. He's never been hurt. That's also a lot of hockey. So,
a lot of hockey, absolutely, especially for a forward as well. I really do like the makeup of both these teams. I think they match up really well on paper and on the ice, and we saw that through their games this season. So I'm looking forward to it. But prediction time. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
And then you can go for that. I'm going with I don't necessarily know if it's the popular pick, but I have it going 7, which is the popular pick. But I do have Tampa Bay in 7. And I think it strictly comes down to that experience that Tampa has in those 2 cups. And I think they're going to be extra motivated seeing that the East is pretty wide open, and you don't have to worry about Florida this year, not only because Florida won back-to-back cups, but also you don't have to worry about all their on-ice antics, and you don't have to worry about the potential injuries that could be coming your way. You just know that there's still going to be hard playoff games, but it's not the level that you'd be getting from Florida. So I think Tampa's going to be able to play a little more one out in 7. Yeah.
Yeah. I was very tempted to go Tampa in 7. But I'm going to end up going Tampa over the Habs in 6. I think there's going to be one of those games that just an absolute ball buster, just one that cracks the series wide open, where the Habs are going to look phenomenal throughout 50 minutes of the game, and I think they're just going to get goalied in one of these games. I think it's going to be one of those games where all game everyone's like, the Habs are going to take this. Maybe at the time, I'm thinking like game 4, Tampa's got like a 2-1 series lead. It probably should be tied up how the game's played, but just great goaltending, 1 or 2 lucky goals, and all of a sudden it's 3-1, and they're just 2 behind the 8 ball to come back. I think it's going to be one of those types of series, and
absolutely.
Obviously, as a Lightning fan, I'm also hoping for something like that. But
naturally, be weird if you weren't, right?
Yeah. So
no, I'm
very interested to see. It's been a long time since Tampa's played a team like the Canadiens in the playoffs. Yeah. A young, hot shot team. Like it's
offensive firepower all over the place.
Yeah. The last time we even played a team kind of like that was them basically in the 2021 finals. And they weren't really ready for that yet. Like they were good, but they weren't quite ready for it yet. They're not the 50 goal scoring Cole Caulfield that he is now.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Next matchup, I guess diving over into the Metro Division. Now we have the Eastern Conference winner, Carolina Hurricanes, going up against the second wild card team, the Ottawa Senators. Carolina going 2-1-0 in the season series. And worth noting, Carolina, the 4th-ranked power play in the league, going up against the Senators, 29th ranked penalty kill in the league. So that's something to look for there. Interest level in this series, thoughts? A lot of people are kind of saying this is the series they're least interested in, but what are you feeling with these guys?
It's interesting because, we've been saying it quite a bit this year. The Ottawa Senators are analytically such a better team than it looks like from the outside, because they've just been getting horrendous goaltending, but their defensive metrics, their offensive metrics, like so many of their things are like top 5 or borderline top 5 in the league. And they look so good, but at the end of the day, you also need that goaltending. That's part of the team. And this Canes team is just so deep at every position, including goaltending. They don't really have that bona fide number one necessarily, but they've got plenty of guys that can play some games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie. I struggle to see a world where the Sens make this much of a competition.
I don't think you're giving Ottawa enough credit because, yes, on paper, like Carolina, 113 points to Ottawa's 99. Ottawa only having one less regulation win than Carolina on the season. And Ottawa is a team that I think a lot of people are low on just because, again, they are, the second wildcard team. But we do got to remember, like, they were fucking ass up until, like, January. Like, they were 20 points back of Detroit and found a way to jump over Detroit and get into a playoff spot. They were down near bottom of the East, and we were already kind of talking about, like, what can you sell off? What can you get back for these guys, and how can you turn it around for next season? Well, that's out the window because they're in the playoffs. I do think this is an interesting series because, again, these are the two teams that I think whoever wins this, they will get as far as their goaltending will allow them. And when you look at every other playoff team, these are the two teams that I have the least confidence in their goalies. That being said, Linus Ullmark has looked better down the stretch, and thankfully for Carolina, the way they play
in the East or the playoffs,
you can put
for the goaltending.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about Edmonton.
Yeah, you know where I'm going with
it. Well, at least in the East, because again, right now
it's funny that Stuart Skinner's not on that list.
I got more faith in Stuart Skinner with the Penguins.
Oh, I agree.
And with Carolina, I mean, the way they play, you can throw anybody in the net. That's why every goalie that goes there, people are like, oh, Kochekov's a top 10 goalie. Freddie Anderson, top 10 goalie. Oh,
I thought
Brandon
Kochetkov was going to be a star.
A top 5 goalie next year. And it's like, there's a reason every goalie that goes there people love, because it's easy to play in front of this Carolina team. So that's going to be the biggest thing, is it's going to be the goaltending. Which goalie can maybe steal a game for their team. On paper, I think I totally agree with you that the depth for Carolina trumps, Ottawa's. But I'm not counting Ottawa out yet. I think they did get a little bit. I think making the playoffs last year definitely did help them. Just get that little bit of experience that they were kind of missing. And I think that's where Toronto exposed them a lot last year and drawing them into dumb penalties. And I think they're going to learn from that. So,
right.
Comes down to who wins. So it comes down to who wins between these two teams. What was Ottawa's power play? Because I didn't put down. So Ottawa does have the 8th ranked power play in the league. And they are the number 1 face-off team in the league. They're 3rd in the league for shots on goal allowed per game. So they're pretty good about, like, not allowing shots on it. It comes down to the goaltending. Carolina,
they're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to do that here, though. Carolina, they've got to have. Where's Carolina in shots on goal? They've got to be like
shots on goal. They're 2nd in the league. Goals per game, 2nd in the league. Face-off, 16th. Shots on goal allowed, tied for, or goals allowed. Sorry, they're tied for 5th. Shots on goal allowed, 1st, meaning the least amount at 23.9.
They just play like a game of averages, huh? They just throw everything on net. They don't allow you to get anything on net, and they're just like, hopefully enough of ours bounce in that we win. Like, that's a crazy way to run it. But I mean, they've been very good for the last 5 years.
Do you want to give your prediction first, or would you like me to?
We might as well go back and forth. So I'll give mine first on this one.
Okay.
I was toying with the idea of predicting the Hurricanes to sweep the Senators, but I think that is disrespecting the Senators a bit too much. That said, I'm still going to go the Canes win in 5. I think it's going to be a 4-1 series victory. I think the Sens are just going to kind of run out of gas. I think this Canes team, I think they're at that point with some other teams that have won cups recently where they're like, at a certain point, they're like, all right, we're in the playoffs. Let's, like, all the guys they were sitting in the past 2 or 3 games, like they've been prepping for the playoffs since January. They've been so ready for it. Like they don't care about regular season success at this point. They want to win the cup. And I mean, it's been quite a few years since they didn't make it to like the second or third round at least, right?
Yeah. No, you're all right. So you are going Canes in 5?
Canes in 5.
Canes in 5.
Hate to do it to the Sens, but I think people are starting to underrate the Canes a little.
I was also just looking at Carolina's lines. Nikolai Ehlers on the third line. It's just destined to be a third liner at this point, it seems.
That's crazy. He's been getting ice time too. It's just on the third line.
I think about this series, and the more I look at it, I think there's going to be a game where Linus Ullmark finds a way to steal it for Ottawa. I do think there's going to be a game where we get a Brady Tkachuk, as long as he's healthy and good to go. I think there's a game where Brady Tkachuk is, you look at that game against the Islanders and steals a game for Ottawa. I do think Carolina on paper is the better team. I think they got the better forward core, better defensive depth, but they don't have a Jake Sanderson. They do have a Slavin.
Jake Sanderson.
But Slavin is fucking ass offensively this year, so you're really going to need him to be...
Always has been.
A phenomenal defensive defenseman to make up for that. Carolina's the favorite in the series. They should be for a reason. And with that said, I'm going Ottawa in 7.
He's going Ottawa in 7.
I'm going Ottawa in 7 because, again, I think Ullmark is starting to get hot at the right time. I think this team as a whole is getting hot at the right time. And I think it goes. I just go back to that trade deadline, and I was very critical of Carolina. You have all these, you've already got your core here. You've got so many prospects not even playing for you right now. All these draft picks, and you're not buying. And I think we're going to look back at the end of the series and be like, yeah, maybe they should have bought on a Connor Garland, a Brock Besser, a Nazem Kadri, a Vinny Trocheck, a Robert Thomas, just...
Brock Besser is such a type of player that the Hurricanes would get, isn't he?
Yeah. Like I think they were trying to get him
so that perfect tier of elite where it's like they want a star player and he's not quite that, but he is elite. Like he's very similar to Nikolai Ehlers where he's like, he's really good, but he's about as good as we say all the stars in Carolina are. He's not the Mikko Rantanen they wanted, the Mitch Marner,
the Jake Gensel. I think I backed Ottawa last year over Toronto. That blew up on my face. I'm going to back Ottawa again. I think they've just started to get hot at the right time, and so much momentum is going to carry over from, January when they looked dead in the water to sneaking into the playoffs, and I think they pull off the upset here.
Yeah. I just think the shots for and against are going to look goofy as they tend to in Hurricanes games, and I think those are just those, hockey buzzwords, right? That's the playoff style goals that you need to score.
Yeah,
and
and that being said,
they got a lot of guys who know how to play that.
Carolina absolutely should win this series. Yeah, 100%. But I ain't picking them.
Fair enough.
Final matchup here in the first round in the East, the Battle of Pennsylvania. the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers meeting up, going head to head. I believe one of the first ever tweets from Gritty in his first year in the league was calling out the Penguins, and now I believe Gritty will be in attendance for Flyers home games, and I'm looking forward to playoff Gritty more than anything. But
I was going to say,
very
has
looking
Gritty
forward
been to the
Sidney
playoffs?
Crosby.
When did Gritty come into the league?
He came in 2018, but I think when Philly went, it was the bubble, so Gritty wasn't even there. So I think this is actually Gritty's first.
He wasn't allowed in. Gritty was anti-vax.
Yeah, so there was no Gritty, but we'll get Gritty here. Pittsburgh Penguins 2-0-2 in the season series over the Flyers, and Pittsburgh's 7th ranked penalty kill will go up against the Flyers' 32nd ranked power play. So Philly's wanting to win is really going to have to come down to 5-on-5 play for them, it looks like. But again, anything can happen in the playoffs.
That is how they've won in the last several months at this point. Like, since like January, their power play, and I'm pretty sure their penalty kill as well, has been really bad. Both their special teams have been bad, but they've also taken not a ton of penalties, and they've just been scoring at 5-on-5, and that's one of the best ways to win. But penalties are going to get called at a certain point, and if that's dragging
especially
down every
this
time
series,
it happens. Yeah.
With this rivalry, I mean, a lot of the guys in this series are kind of newer to these teams and haven't been in a series facing the other team. So they've never been in it before, but if you take Montreal and Boston and if they faced off in the playoffs, that rivalry is there because it's not just the players, but it's also the organizations, the fan bases, all of it.
It's like just ingrained in.
Yeah, it's just the way things are. So once these players step on the ice, they're going to hate the other team. And as much as I did want to see Pittsburgh and Washington, to see Crosby versus Ovi, one final time, I am really glad that we did get this matchup here. Philly, they actually tied in points in the end, but Pittsburgh has the tiebreaker, gets home ice advantage. Flyers had 2 more wins on the season than Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh had 7 more regulation wins, which is what gives them the home ice advantage.
Wow.
Pittsburgh went 3-10 in shootouts, and Philly went 10-4. Thankfully, there's no shootouts in the playoffs. Unless you're Vancouver, then you're probably pissed that there's no shootouts in the playoffs. Say Vancouver,
Lank the tank.
This is going to be a very close series, I think. I know a lot of people I've kind of seen are either really Pittsburgh is going to wipe them, but then other people are like Flyers are going to wipe them. They're just built for this, and I'm like, it's right in the middle. Like I'm right in between, where it's very tough to tell how the series is going to go.
Yeah. I definitely think it's going to be a close series. I think it's just, I think this is one of the series where it is going to come down to star power. It's not going to come down to the depth as much. I think both teams are pretty covered on depth. I think it comes down to who is going to produce more. I think
Philly does have the. Does Philly have the advantage in net?
Yeah.
And again, we are talking about Stuart Skinner and
Dan Vladar has been great this year.
We haven't seen Dan Vladar in the playoffs. And that's always my thing. Again, for goalies, I think it's a little bit different.
I've seen him in the playoffs. I saw his first NHL game. His first game, he got blown out 8-1 against the Lightning in the bubble.
Yeah. And then actually he did come in for one for a little bit with Calgary, 7 shots, 7 saves. It looks like played 19 minutes in whatever game that was. So, and that's the thing. For goalies, it's a little bit different because it's not from, you get a couple of days off. It's like every second night you're going, and it's like you're the guy. playoff atmospheres are totally different, and the opposing team is really going to be trying to get under your skin, especially because if you throw a goalie off their game, I mean, then you just you light them up from there. And again, Dan Vladar, incredible season. Doesn't have that playoff record. Stuart Skinner, a lot of playoff games under his belt, and we've seen everything from the highest of highs with Stuart Skinner to the lowest of lows. You never know what you're going to get from him. So I'm kind of leaning
back-to-back shutouts. You could get back-to-back shutouts in the conference finals against a cup favorite, or he could be getting scratched against a bad team. Like, you have no idea.
The Kings, yeah. Like,
it's straight up magic beans. And
I'm kind of leaning with you though, Philly, just because Vladar has had an incredible season, and I do think Philly plays a better defensive game than Pittsburgh, so that will make Vladar's life a bit easier. Oh, that's so gas, talking hockey. I'm gonna get that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, get that on a t-shirt, of course. And then it's just a picture of fat bastard with Matvei Michkov's head on it.
I was thinking like Brady's body, but have Tocchet's like face on him.
That would be good.
That would be good. So anyways, kind of what are you thinking between these two?
I am thinking it's going to be a very close series. I have it written down so far as 6 games. I think I'm going to change it. I think I'm going to change it to 7. Because
I do have 6, I will say. I was debating between the two. I ended up landing on 6.
I think I just want 7 though. I think
I absolutely do want 7 too though. Like, don't get me wrong, 100%.
I want 7, but I'm feeling 6. So I'm going to stick with my gut. What I have written down, I have the Pittsburgh Penguins winning in 6 games over the Flyers.
That's exactly what I have.
It's just hard to bet against my answer to this. What's your big X factor for this series? Because I know mine locked in.
I got mine.
Okay, because mine is Erik Karlsson. This guy has been on fire down the stretch. Like, if he played the way he has the last month and a half for the whole season, he would be easily in that top 3 for Norris. Like, he has been unreal. His defensive plays have been good too. Yeah, 100%. And man, like, him, just the way he's turned it around. Obviously, everyone's talking about Crosby wants one more cup before he's done. Malkin, Letang. It's like, Karlsson doesn't even have one, man. This guy wants a cup. This guy's got 3 Norris trophies and doesn't have a Stanley Cup. Does he even have a Cup Finals appearance? Was he there?
Closest he came was
conference finals against the Penguins.
Against the Penguins, yeah. Penguins knocked him out, Chris Kunitz. Yeah, he's absolutely, I think, the X factor in this series. Again, I do like some of the defensemen on Philly, but none of them are on the level of an Erik Karlsson, especially the way Karlsson has been this year. Yeah. And then when you put him around guys like, Crosby, over point per game season, Brian Rust, 65 points, 29 goals. Anthony Mantha hit 30 goals this year. Malkin, over a point per game, 61 and 56. Rickard Raquel, still like a very good player.
A pharaoh. People are talking about him like he's an aging corpse falling apart in front of us. Like, people talk about Malkin as if he's like 44 and he's putting up like 7 points in 70 games. Dude's over a point a game. He's still fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's and then guys like Chinnikov's come in, look great. Brezo, Parker Witherspoon. I'm going to continue to glaze him. Pittsburgh's just built a good team all around, and that's not to say that Philly doesn't, but just when you look at it, like their top point getter, Travis Konechny, who I love, but then Trevor Zegras, Christian Dvorak, third on the team, tied with Michkov and Owen Tippett. Wow. Noah Cates, very good year, 47 points, but then it drops off. Travis Sanheim, 37 and 81. Travis Sanheim, Erik Karlsson. I'm going Erik Karlsson, as I think we all would. Travis Konechny, Sidney Crosby. We're all going Sidney Crosby. It's really just Pittsburgh's big dogs, but not only their big dogs, they are their veterans too. It's different from a Montreal where it's the big dogs, but it's also their youth. and not a lot of playoff experience. Pittsburgh's got their big dogs who are still getting it done. Multiple of those guys have already won cups, some of them even 2. Philly doesn't. And I think when things get tough in those close games, Pittsburgh's going to show that veteran presence, and But again, like I don't. Philly's not going to make it easy. Like Pittsburgh could win this in 6 games, but it could easily be every game goes to overtime, or Pittsburgh's just squeezing by in 1-goal games. Like it's. I don't think any game in this series will be a blowout. Like not a single one.
I think it really helps Pittsburgh that I think they play a style of hockey that matches up well against the Flyers, when I think most teams don't match up well against the Flyers. I think to score on the Flyers, I think you're less likely than most teams to score on the Rush. I think a lot of it has to come from creating chaos and cycling the puck. And I think that is stuff that guys like Erik Karlsson, like Crosby's probably the greatest player of all time at working the cycle. All the top stars in the league, you think about Connor McDavid goal, the first 100 that pop into your mind are him off the rush, rinsing somebody. Crosby, a lot of his are owning some guy along the boards, working his way to the front, and then those hands in close. I think those are the kinds of goals they're going to need to beat this Tocchet defense and this Flyers team. And I think they've just kind of ended up, I think most teams lean towards rush offense. And I think they got kind of lucky that they're really good at the cycle and feels kind of like the Flyers' kryptonite.
I actually, because again, I think that Philly would have a better chance against Carolina or even Ottawa. It's just that matchup against Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh really kind of owns Philly in that area that they should be scared of with their team.
Yeah.
And I think Pittsburgh will be able to capitalize on that. So I'm with you. I've got Pittsburgh in 6. Are you sticking with Pittsburgh in 6, or are you going 7?
Yeah. I'm going 6. That's what I have written down. That's what my head says, despite my heart. My heart says Flyers in 7, but I doubt it.
We'll keep that in our minds, though. I'll give you some extra cool guy points if they manage to pull that off.
Porter Martone with like a career defining game 7 be amazing.
Porter Martone will be important for Philly, despite being a rookie and not many games played, because he has come in and immediately
per game down the stretch
been a focal point of their offense. Absolutely. And if there's any young player just coming into the league that is kind of built for Stanley Cup playoff hockey, it is Porter Martone. So
they got him playing to see
how much
Konechny
Philly relies on him early. Yeah.
Like Konechny, Dvorak, Martone. That as a second line, those are some bastards to play hockey against.
Yeah.
That's not fun hockey you play against them, and they can score. That's
kind of a do-it-all type of line. Christian Dvorak has also been very good defensively too, so we'll see how long Philly's defense can hold on, and I really hope we see a good series from both Stuart Skinner and Dan Vladar.
Yeah, the last thing you want to see is a goaltending collapse in any of these series, because then it just takes a lot of the bite out of it, because that team's getting rinsed. Like, you can overcome a couple guys being quiet.
Yeah.
Goalie, just tough to overcome.
2 goalies who have faced off before in Battle of Alberta, now battling in the Battle of Pennsylvania.
Shit.
So that's pretty cool to.
That's sick. That's a good stat. I didn't even think about that.
I just thought of that now. I'm like, you know what? I'm glad we mentioned that. But we should move on to the Western Conference. First matchup here, the President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche taking on the second wildcard seed, the LA Kings, who will not be playing the Edmonton Oilers this year. They will have to instead go up against the Colorado Avalanche. I did put in here the Avs dominate in almost every stat, because I did not want to type them all in, but I will list them off here for you. Avalanche did go 3-0-0 in the season series. Goals for per game, Colorado first, LA 29th. Goals against, LA 7th in the league for goals against per game. Yeah, but Colorado's number one, obviously winning the Jennings.
Yeah.
Power play, Colorado 27th in the league for the Avs. So maybe that's something where the Kings have the advantage. Nope, LA 28th. And then penalty kill, Avalanche first in the league, LA Kings 30th. So Colorado basically good everywhere, but just kind of a shit power play. But I would not be surprised if it just starts to go nuclear in the playoffs. Meanwhile, the LA Kings,
their penalty kill, what was
five
it
on
on the
five
season?
defense.
Sorry, their power, the Avs power play.
17.4%, 27th in the league, and LA 17.1.
I believe they were like 30 or 31st in December. So they've definitely picked it up since then. Probably top 10 in the league since the new year to get up to 17.
But they are going up against the LA Kings penalty kill, which is 30th in the league, 74.7%.
That's supposed to be where they're good, man.
They're good 5-on-5 defense, but on the penalty kill, no.
That's kind of like your shtick right now. Like, how has it been that bad?
I feel like this is the series that will be the shortest we're going to talk about, just because to me it was always kind of, it didn't really matter who played Colorado. Just when you look at,
congratulations,
down to pretty much
you
be
avoided
in
the
LA,
Oilers.
Nashville, Winnipeg, or San Jose. It's like none of these teams were really going to put up much of a fight. Nashville probably potentially putting up the best fight, I think.
Nashville, I would have bet on 4-2 Avs victory in the series, and I don't think I give any of those other teams even 2 wins. I think some of them I give 1 win, and then there's quite a few that I'm saying a sweep, and the LA Kings are one of them. I'm saying this is a sweep for the Colorado Avalanche. They're good defensively, they're good offensively. The Kings don't inspire a lot of confidence. Maybe Kopitar turns back the clock, has a 4-point game, and they have a good defensive game 1, and they like get 1 game, but like,
because it is, Kopitar's
I'd be shocked if they even got 2 wins,
less alone leave it all out
win
there.
The series. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was so close to going Colorado in 4, but I think LA is going to find a way to squeak out 1 game somewhere. So I do have Colorado in 5, and again, like,
as fair.
LA probably shouldn't be in the playoffs to begin with. Like, they went 35, 27, and 20. They almost had as many regulation wins as overtime shootout losses. They had 22 regulation wins compared to Colorado's 48.
That's insane.
Colorado 31 more points than the Kings. The Kings obviously just squeezing in. You did manage to avoid Edmonton, as you mentioned, but yeah, you got to go up against. You got to go up against Colorado. And I think the addition of Panarin does help. But then, you've got Kempe, 73 points in 81 games, and then it drops off. Quinton Byfield, 49 and 79. Did heat up a little bit with some goals down the stretch of the season, but losing Kevin Fiala hurts. Kopitar, you're already starting to see is taking a bit of a step back. Drew Doughty, the offensive game just isn't quite there that it used to be. They're still missing Kuzmenko, which hurts that top 6. So it kind of just goes back to what I said last year with the LA Kings. It was, you had to win last year, and you had the 2-0 lead on Edmonton. As soon as you ended up losing that series, it was...
They had a lead in game 3 too, man.
Kind of it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, they could have done it. Yeah, they could have beat them that year.
It all kind of just went downhill pretty quick for him, and now you got to go up against the Avs, and this Avalanche team is just amazing from top to bottom.
This is going to sound kind of goofy because they're the President's Trophy winning team, and I just predicted them to get beat in a sweep. But I do still think this is true. I still think the Kings would prefer to play the Avalanche than they would prefer to play the Oilers.
I think so, yeah.
4 years in a row. I mean, the Oilers aren't quite what they've been, but how many years can you say that? They've been worse most of those years going forward, and they still demolish you each time. Like, this is at least something new. So I think
It's
they at least
something
got the
different.
matchup they wanted. Looking at the very end of it, when it was only between a couple of teams, obviously if they could have figured out a way to meet up against Anaheim, they would have taken that. But
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. And for Colorado, I mean, we know the story of, MacKinnon, 127 points. Marty Necas got up to 100 points this season. Cale Makar, not the strongest season offensive, but again, he is still Cale Makar. Brock Nelson, 30 goals scored this year. You added Kadri. You've got Nichushkin, who we know can be a playoff beast. Lehkonen, who can be one of the most clutch guys in the playoffs. Sam Malinsky broke out this year with 40 points. You got 35 points out of a 40-year-old Brent Burns. Parker Kelly on the fourth line, 21 goals. You have Gabriel Landeskog back full time, which is huge. And it's not to mention Josh Manson, great defensively. Jack Drury, Nick Waugh, defensive guys. Ross Colton, who's kind of a do-it-all. I think Devon Taves will be back. You did have Brett Kulak, who just makes your defensive depth that much better. You do have Logan O'Connor back. Yeah. I'm going Avs in 5, but I would not be surprised with a sweep. LA, it's time. And I think Kopitar knows that, and I think that's why he's like, you know what? We'll do a farewell tour, and once I retire, maybe it kind of forces LA's hand to rethink how they want to be going forward.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what they do next season, because they could keep trying to do it, or they could go to a full rebuild. Like, either totally makes sense, and props to them for not tearing it down when Kopitar is like, this is my last year. They didn't ship him out to try and get something for him. They didn't.
Got Panarin instead.
Yeah, like,
they tried to win one more.
They're doing right by him. That Fiala injury really sucks for him.
Really hurt. Yeah, that's probably the difference between them finishing in wildcard 2 there as opposed to potentially. I mean, they're only 3 points back of Edmonton for second in the Pacific, 5 back of Vegas for first in the division. That potentially could have been the difference for them.
Fiala's a difference maker. He could have been, yeah,
absolutely. Next series we got here, the one we've known for the longest time, and probably the one I think most people are excited for the most, the Dallas Stars versus the Minnesota Wild. Dallas having home ice advantage, clinching that in the end over Minnesota by decent bit, actually. 8 points in the end, despite how close it was looking like it could have been.
Wow.
Down the stretch. We do know Rupe Hintz is set to miss the start of the series. They said the first few games, so we'll take that into consideration. Dallas, the second-ranked power play in the league this season, 11th penalty kill in the league. Minnesota, third-ranked power play in the league, and 17th ranked penalty kill. So 2 very good power plays and 2 kind of middle-of-the-pack penalty kills. So special teams seems pretty even. So we'll have to maybe look towards 5-on-5 play.
Yeah. And one thing that is so important 5-on-5 is how good, and especially how defensively good, are your centers. And it's funny because Minnesota, their number 1 center, is very good defensively. After that, they don't have a ton of guys worth much of note. They have Joel Eriksson Ek, and beyond that, their center core is just lacking.
They were never to replace Marco Rossi when they moved him out. I mean, they did get Quinn Hughes, which is awesome, but they did leave a hole there on their second line center spot.
Yeah, somebody's got to play, and it's especially when you're against such a deep team like the Dallas Stars. Like, they might be the deepest team in the entire league. Yeah, it's tough to imagining them overcoming that center depth. Like, they just don't have the pieces down the middle, and man, their blue line in Minnesota is so good, especially with Quinn Hughes, and their power play is so scary, man. You take a 2-minute tripping, and all of a sudden Quinn Hughes, Matt Boldy, Kirill Kaprizov jump the boards, and you're going, fuck. That's so dirt nasty. But the Dallas Stars, they got the guys to deal with that. And not only that, they have the biggest power play merchant in the league on their team. Quietly, people don't talk about it like that. For my money, there's not a guy in the league who's a more of a power play merchant than Wyatt Johnston. Is it fair to say that of a guy who's 21, 22? Probably not, but you look at his stats and there's a reason that he was a big minus in the playoffs last year. He doesn't do a ton 5-on-5 compared to what people think he does. He's still very good, don't get me wrong, but he gets, I believe, more than 50% of his points on the power play.
Close, 42 of his 86 points. But I mean, you got to look at it though.
On the season for
it's 27
team.
27 power play goals though. So more than half of his power play points are goals.
More than half of his goals are on the power play.
Which is worth noting. Yeah.
So, and a goal's a goal. No matter where you score it counts as one. But if the Minnesota Wild if they can avoid taking penalties and take away that, key onto him a bit 5-on-5, I think more than anything, he's a guy that not only can they shut down, I think they can expose him defensively. This is to have 86 points on the season, be on a team as good as the Dallas Stars, and be -5 is a little bit shocking.
But you also got to remember, you go after Wyatt Johnston, and then the next shift, then who is going to take care of, Jason Robertson when he hops the boards? Oh, you got some. All right, what about next shift when Mikko Rantanen? Right? Like, I do agree that Wyatt Johnston hasn't had the. Well, I mean, he did have a strong season, but it definitely is inflated by the power play numbers. Who is? Oh yeah, Rupe Hintz, right? We talked about Rupe Hintz already. I was wondering who they're missing. Yeah, I mean, I think overall, Minnesota's got the deeper blue line. I think Dallas has the edge when it comes to the forward depth. The goaltending, I think, honestly, could go either way. I think that's a pretty even wash between the two sides.
Yeah,
Miro Heiskanen is expected to be back for Dallas, so that's good there. Yeah, there's a reason why this is the most exciting first round matchup for most people, because these are just two powerhouse teams that are below Colorado, really, and that's
just on a collision course. Like this really should be a second round matchup at least. Frankly, probably closer to a conference final matchup. But this is how it shook out. Neither of them won the division because they were in the President's Trophy winning Avalanche division, and
these are the two teams that I usually back as a Sharks fan that hasn't seen my team in the playoffs since 2019. These are kind of the two teams that I've been rooting for, at least out of the West. Always been a fan of Minnesota, would like to see him go on a run, and for the longest time was rooting for Dallas because wanted to see Joe Pavelski win there.
Right.
Now they're going up against each other, so I got to pick a side, and I don't like that. So,
are you picking who you think will win or who you want to win?
No, I'm doing this on who I think. I'm sticking with who I think will.
Who you're picking, at the end of the day, is to me, also who you want?
I don't think it matters to me who wins, right? Okay. Because now I'm kind of at the thing of whoever wins. Part of me is just kind of rooting for Colorado because now I'm like, well, fuck, let's just see Brent Burns,
Oh yeah,
go on and win a cup, right? So I think I'm fine between Dallas and Minnesota, and at the end of the day, between the two of them, I'm happy either way because I've got no problem rooting for either team. So this is just strictly who I think is going to win.
Fair enough.
But I'm having a hard time deciding that. And I think I'm first, aren't I? I think I'm first on this series to go first.
Yes, I believe so.
Which I don't love. So I'm going to go back to what I had written down.
If not, I can go.
No, well, I'm not gonna play that cop out. I'll go first. I am going Dallas in 7. I think you outlined it perfectly. I think the biggest thing that's going to come down to is just Minnesota's lack of center depth. And we knew that after the deadline. We were expecting them to go out and make some addition there, and they really didn't. Like, you brought in Nick Foligno and Michael McCarron, which great depth players, but like those are depth players. That is not a top 6 center that you're missing, or at the bare minimum a high end third line center.
Yeah,
and I think that's gonna potentially just be the difference maker. And I think Dallas is a very heavier team up front than Minnesota, at least with their more top 6. And I think they're going to just be like, hey, we just got to go out there, make Quinn Hughes' life hell. And that really hurts Minnesota. And so I think Quinn Hughes is going to, they're going to be hitting him every chance they get. They're going to try and expose him in the series. And so, but again, I think this series does go 7, as it should be, as I think we all hope it does. But I mean, Dallas has gone to 3 straight Western Conference Finals, so they know how to get things done in these tight series, in these tight games. And unfortunately for Minnesota, again, great season. Loved the way that they went out and got Quinn Hughes and whatnot, but unfortunately, you get matched up with Dallas in round 1, and I think Dallas just pulls it out.
That's the way it goes. I also have Dallas beating Minnesota in Game 7. I love what Minnesota's done. That's why I have them going 7 against the Dallas Stars, who are so good. But yeah, I mean, for all the reasons we've been laying out, just that slight edge on depth and experience and center depth, it just puts them a little bit above. Like,
no, absolutely.
There's a world where Kaprizov, Hughes just go nuclear and each have 2 points per game over the series, and they win this.
Yeah,
but
there's a very good chance they could go.
The good money's got to be on Dallas.
There's a very good chance Kaprizov and Hughes could average 2 points per game this series, and Minnesota loses. Even, like
maybe Rantanen has more than that. Maybe he averages a goal and a half per game and 2.5 points per game in total. Like, both sides have the game breakers, and the game breakers on Dallas's side have way more playoff experience.
And I do got to say for Minnesota, though, because I don't want to make it sound like I should talk to them, because I do like the addition of guys like Nick Foligno, Michael McCarron. You can slide them with a Marcus Foligno, because that's kind of how you prevent, Rantanen from doing some dumb shit, Jamie Benn from doing some, dumb shit. Tyler Myers even is a big guy.
They got Tyler Myers.
Minnesota's got guys, and they've even got Trennan to police Dallas, who we've seen before, got some guys that can get pretty chippy and pretty nasty and aggressive in the playoffs, as we always expect players to be, because winning the Stanley Cup means everything to these guys. So I do think that helps Minnesota a lot, that they've got guys that can handle the big boys that Dallas has, and kind of police the situation out there. So helps Minnesota, but again, it just feels like a series. It's almost kind of destined for Dallas to squeeze it out in Game 7.
It definitely seems like the good money to go that way, but I
wouldn't be shocked if Minnesota.
I don't think either of us would be shocked if Minnesota won. Like, that's why it's such a looked at series of like, fuck, can't wait for Game 1 of this. Like,
and then after that, fuck, can't wait for Game 2, can't wait for Game 3 until we get to 7. And if it doesn't go to 7, we're just robbed as hockey fans.
I mean, even last year, we were like, okay, Colorado-Dallas, going to be a great series. No disrespect to Dallas, this Colorado team fucking rules, is what a lot of people said. I think most people, the most common bet was probably Colorado in 7. And it went Dallas in 7. And it was going to go Colorado in 7 until like the final period.
Yeah. And then Mikko Rantanen decided
balled out.
Yeah. And maybe that happens again, if it goes to game 7. Dallas has a proven game 7 playoff hero.
That's
maybe that's all it comes down to, yeah. Moving over to the the Pacific Division.
I think you had it right.
You know what? I did have it right. The Vegas Golden Knights finishing first in the Pacific Division, going up against the Wild Card 1 team. The Utah Mammoth, for the first time in franchise history, will be in the playoffs, going up against Vegas as Seattle sits in their cuck chair in the corner, watching the two newest franchises here battle in the playoffs while they are picking top 6-ish again. Vegas, 5th ranked power play in the league this season, 8th ranked penalty kill, going up against Utah's 18th ranked power play, 19th ranked penalty kill. So Vegas definitely has the edge on special teams. Utah did win the season series 2-1. Got to imagine, what is it, Delta Center, Delta Place?
I think
is going to be rocking. Delta Center. It's going to be rocking for Utah, but obviously we know the
fortress. I'd love to know
for Vegas,
what the cheap seats are in the playoffs, because we haven't seen them yet.
170, I think I saw. They're keeping them pretty. They're pretty cheap right now.
Do you know that's for like the obstructed view? Because there's like the areas where like
I don't know for that. Yeah,
because it was like an NBA arena first, so they're trying to like redesign it to work. So there's some areas that have a bit of blockages. Like it's not a great view, but it's still decent. But those tickets, even late in the season, they were literally $10 per ticket. And with that ticket, you got a voucher for a free bottle of water and a hot dog with your seat for $10.
Damn.
That's crazy.
I'm not too sure on
for the
on
rebuilding
that,
Flames, a beer is still like $10.50. That's more than the seat, the food, and the drink that you get there.
Yeah,
all in one. That's crazy.
Pretty nuts. And obviously for Vegas, we know the Fortress will be rocking, whether or not it's real fans of the team or just tourists there, as
Marner haters.
Game 1 takes place on the same night as WrestleMania in Vegas, so that's going to be just a fucking...
Oh, shit.
There's a lot of shit going on in Vegas right now, but again, whether or not they're fans of the team or they're just tourists, they're want to take in a game. The barn's going to be rocking for Vegas in games 1 and 2, especially. Vegas has been hot as of late since bringing in.
We knew it would happen.
And
the new coach,
they have. I mean, Utah isn't bringing in much playoff experience. I think they've lost one game. Yeah, actually they did. They lost to Seattle in a shootout, but I believe that was their only loss.
Seattle in a shootout, so far, as we all predicted. Yeah. Oh, it's so too bad. So I guess it is my turn. So I'm gonna throw my prediction out there and then explain it.
Going right off the rip, yeah.
I have Vegas beating Utah in Game 7. I really wanted to say Utah. I like them as a team. I don't really like Vegas. It's just the more fun answer that way, but I think I would have Utah in 7 or 6 games in that order, because I would have had them that way if they didn't make the coaching change. But the way they made this coaching change and immediately had this just super visible and obvious impact. That's so hard to ignore. And just like that, we're back to being like, we're not looking at them as they're a fumbling team. Ooh, can they do it? Now we're back to, okay, Jack Eichel's cracked. Mitch Marner's cracked. Dorofeyev is such a consistent goal scorer. Like, they have all these great pieces. I'm sure Stone's going to be a point per game and good defensively. Like, all of a sudden, we're right back to, the Central looks real strong, but the Vegas Golden Knights are a legit contender here.
They are, yeah. And as much as I do like to, shit on Vegas, and I will continue to, Aiden Hill asked this year, but also Stanley Cup winner, proven goalie in the playoffs at one point in time. He could easily get it going. Rasmus Sanderson, not the greatest start with Vegas, but has really started to find his stride there with them as of late. Jack Eichel, dog, we know that. Mark Stone, dog. Dorofeyev, 37 goals, insane. Barbashev, pretty underrated, like 61 points in 82 games, doesn't get talked about enough. And now you have Mitch Marner too, which is something they were missing last year. And again, you only had to give up Nick Waugh for that, which is huge. They're just the better team. Again, I like Utah. Utah's time is coming. One of the most fun young teams in the league. This is huge for them just to even get into the playoffs this year, and because they're only going to get better. But just getting that, kind of like the Senators of last year, just getting into the playoffs, even if you get swept, even if you go out in 5, 6, 7, whatever, just getting into the playoffs and knowing what to expect and knowing what the schedule brings, the travel, the preparation, all that, and then the physicality and the intensity. Just getting that, even if it's for one series, goes a long way. And going up against a team like Vegas, you're going to learn some hard lessons, but they're going to be really valuable lessons, right? Like Utah's got some studs of their own. Clayton Keller, starting to feel like he's kind of underrated and doesn't get talked about enough. 88 points this year, played in all 82. Nick Schmaltz, 74 points. Dylan Guenther, talk about 40 goals. Sergachev, 59 points. And then Logan Cooley did get injured, but still just a little bit under a point per game. And you still got guys like Sergachev, Peterka, Kraus,
how old is he?
Uyghur, Dursey.
Is Cooley like 20?
21. We'll turn 22 at the beginning of May. So in a couple weeks.
Like almost a point per game. He's so young and injured. He had an injury this year that kind of derailed it a little bit. Like he's going to be so good. He already is, but he's going to be a point per game player next season, I think. Yeah. And
Vejmelka can be a good goalie too. Can have some games where he's bad, but for the most part, still a pretty consistent goalie in the positive department, I would say. So
yeah,
I don't expect him to hurt Utah.
Second in the league in wins.
But I'm right with you. I originally had Vegas in 6 before we started recording, but I did change it to Vegas in 7. As I think there's going to be a couple games where Utah is going to be able to surprise Vegas a bit, and I think Utah we're going to get a couple playoff heroes who I don't. Absolutely, I hope they do prove us wrong. I think there's going to be a game or two where there's going to be a playoff hero for them that we're not expecting, and it's going to come from, a
Lawson Kraus.
A Lawson Kraus. I was actually a Michael Carconi was who I was thinking of. Maybe even a Sean Dursey or a Yamamoto. Probably not a Brandon Tanev, honestly. Wow. 56 games played, 3 assists.
But his picture, he does the funny eye thing.
Funny.
He does the funny eye thing.
His pictures are funny. That is true.
He's gonna make several $100,000 extra over his career because people know him as the guy who does the funny picture.
Funny picture, man. Yeah, it's really just Utah doesn't have that experience on the level of Vegas. And I know we talk about experience a lot, but at the end of the day, it does matter. Like it does, especially when it is a bunch of guys that have won a cup versus a team that really doesn't even have much playoff experience throughout their lineup. But I think Utah is going to give Vegas hell. Like they have more regulation wins in Vegas this season, more wins in general, only 3 less points because Vegas has 17 overtime shootout losses. Like they're not far off from LA. That Torts hiring was huge. And that's going to carry over.
That's the only reason I'm not picking Utah. Yeah. And one thing that I do think is a bit of an X factor that I haven't heard people talking about is Mikhail Sergachev in this series. For a guy his age, he has a lot of playoff games played already. He is one of the few guys on that team that has a boatload of playoff experience. And I'm very interested to see now, because he's obviously played a lot of those games, but he was always behind Victor Hedman for them. Usually on the third pairing, even behind McDonough on the left side for them. So, he played solid minutes, but he never got to be the guy in the playoffs. He's going to get to do that now.
He's got the chance to now.
I'm excited to see if he can rise to the occasion. And, what'd you say? He had 59 points on the season, around 60, something like that. Can he play at a bit closer to a point per game pace throughout the playoffs for them?
Yeah.
And can he up his defensive game a bit and play, 25, 26 minutes instead of 21, 22? Like, those are some of the things we're looking at. And I think he's definitely up to the task. I'm not sure who his defensive partner is. Is he playing with John Marino?
Let me check here quickly. Utah, he is playing with he's with Uyghur right now on the top pair.
Sergachev Uyghur, I love that. Keep an eye on John Marino in these as well. Underrated. Just every time I look up advanced stats, they just all of a sudden his name just keeps popping up, and it's always screaming at me, this guy rules. Like, he looks like one of those really underrated defensive defensemen who his plus minus, I think, was something ridiculous this year. Like, I think he was like plus 35 or something.
John Marino's plus minus, he was where the fuck is plus 42.
Plus 42. Like,
yeah,
only taking 16 penalty minutes. Like,
so expect him to kind of maybe take those matchups against a Marner or an Eichel, assuming that they keep Marner and Eichel separated still.
6th round pick by the Oilers. They'd love to have a guy like that right now.
But could they ever?
Oof.
But I guess with that, it leads us into our final series of round one, our final prediction. The Edmonton Oilers versus the Anaheim Ducks. Edmonton beating Vancouver in the final game of the season to win home ice advantage. 2-1-0 in the season series over Anaheim. Edmonton, first-ranked power play in the league this season, going up against Anaheim's 25th ranked penalty kill. I think that's very important to note for this series, considering we know how dominant Edmonton's power play can be, and all things sound confirmed that Leon Draisaitl will be back and good to go for Edmonton, so that is obviously huge there. I mean, we both know where this series is heading, I think.
It would be fun to see Anaheim really put it together and make a series of this and go on and see them against some other teams as well. But their top guys are really good. Leo Carlsson is so good. Cutter Gauthier is... The fact that he already put up a 40-goal season is ridiculous.
40-goal season. Jackson Lacombe is another great year. Loved them adding John Carlson.
They have a lot of good stuff to look at, but Connor McDavid, man. Now he's going into the playoffs. He's clearly heating up going into the playoffs. He is ready. I don't know how you don't take Edmonton in this series, other than you're just being a hater.
It's not even like I can, I'm not even going to sit here and, even as a Sharks fan, I'm not going to list off things that Anaheim does wrong or I don't like about them, because I actually really do like Anaheim's blend of veterans and youth. I think has worked out really well for them, and I think Joel Quenneville is a good coach for that mix with that team.
Yeah.
So I can't even say like there's things I dislike with Anaheim. It's just, it's Edmonton. And you've got a Connor McDavid who's coming off back-to-back Stanley Cup final losses. Now he's got an Olympic gold medal loss. Like, this is a guy that's pissed off and just wants to fucking win something.
He's got a Conn Smythe and no cup. Like, he wants to win. Draisaitl wants to win. I think they're just they don't have an answer. The teams that are going to beat the Oilers are teams like the Panthers, teams like I could see Dallas or the Avalanche. It has to be one of those teams that can score against you, but also has very good team defense and has multiple lines that can mostly shut down those top guys. And looking at this, I mean, 25th PK, dude, they're going to get eaten alive.
And that's a team that has guys like Jacob Trouba and Radko Gudas that are probably going to take some dumb penalties, and Edmonton's going to make you pay. Because who's got
Edmonton's
the better
got a lot of
goaltending?
smart
I think
players too. They know how to draw penalties well as well.
They got a couple guys that take some bad penalties too, though.
Oh,
overall,
yeah, no, it's one of those game
got some
management
smart
things,
guys.
you know? Tampa, Florida, all these teams that have gone deep in these recent years, they're teams that they take a decent amount of penalties, but they often know when to take them, which is important because the refs like to try and keep the penalties relatively even. If you're up by a bit, maybe you take a couple extra penalties, and if the game gets close again, you're probably getting the next one. That kind of stuff. And I think they know when to do that, and especially they're very good at drawing penalties, especially against idiots.
When they need
have a lot.
Yeah.
They have a lot of history of playing teams that lose their mind against them. And when you have a power play like that, you're going to make them pay.
You're absolutely right. Who's got the better goalie? I'm going Anaheim. Who's got
everyone should go Anaheim.
Deeper blue line? I think it's actually pretty even. Who's got the better forward depth? I'm going Anaheim. But Edmonton's got McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard. 3 guys that have proven they can put the team on their back and win a series single-handedly. Connor Ingram has started to find his game in the last stretch down the season here.
He'd be a great story.
On paper, just looking at the way things go, Anaheim should win this series. In a simulation, Anaheim probably should, but Edmonton's got McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard.
Game breakers are going to break it.
Against LA. They can do it against Anaheim. And Anaheim's really going to be relying on guys who don't have that playoff experience yet. They're veterans. They're guys that are starting to slowly kind of fall down the lineup more and more as the young guys start to elevate. I think a guy like Beckett Seneca's built for the playoffs. Cutter Gauthier, I think, has the potential to be a guy like that. Would like to see Mason McTavish be more involved with this team, but it's starting to feel like he's the new Trevor Zegras well, he's on the 4th line.
And he got healthy scratched for a while. I can't believe how much he's fallen out of favor.
He's the new Trevor Zegras, and he just signed that, whatever it was, 6-year extension or whatever.
And it took them a little bit to sign him to that too. Yeah. And I remember the entire time before they did, I was going, what are you waiting for? This is one of your guys. Fucking sign it.
Yeah.
There's a reason I'm not a GM. All of a sudden that guy got scratched because he didn't go like 18 games without a point or something, or without a goal, like something ridiculous. Like
something maybe, yeah.
His stats on the season are shocking compared to what they've been.
But he's a guy that I could see breaking out in the playoffs here, though, because of the way he plays the game. He is a guy that's kind of built for playoff hockey.
Yeah, he's right back in it.
Your career around.
Yeah, so
absolutely,
that's another great. That's a great shout.
But yeah, I'm going Edmonton in 6 because I do think Anaheim can win a couple games. I think Anaheim will win at least 1 game at home, maybe 2. Maybe they do take 1 in Edmonton, but Edmonton is going to win this series, and I think it's going to be in 6, and I don't think they're going to stress too much about it.
Yeah,
sorry,
I also have Edmonton in 6.
I kind of almost am wanting Anaheim to win just because Oilers fatigue more than anything, but
that's one of those things. I have Edmonton's so much Oilers fatigue. I do not really care for the org or the fan base or any of that. I would just
McDavid in the playoffs is so fun.
And I want to see McDavid win a cup. Frankly, I don't really care where too much. Obviously, I don't want to be with a rival or anything, but I want him to see him win a cup at some point. Like, I hate the feeling of when I think about guys like Joe McGinley or Joe Thornton, guys who were just easily Hall of Famers without it. But man, it would have been awesome for them to get a cup. But those guys aren't Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid's going to retire a top 5 player all time. If he retires today, he's probably a top 5 player all time. And if he doesn't get one, it'll be a travesty.
It's just a travesty. Yeah. But it further proves, Stanley Cup hardest trophy to win in sports.
People think it's too easy. People think it's way too easy to win the cup still. The amount of teams look
fucking insane.
The amount of people looking at like the Habs right now and being like, they should be ashamed of themselves if they don't win a cup in the next 4 years. I'm like, okay, is Dallas going somewhere? Is Colorado going somewhere? What about all these other good teams? Like,
is Tampa? Is Florida?
If they miss the playoffs,
like,
yeah, that's a blunder. But like, if the bar is winning the cup, you better be a fucking all-star team, overwhelming favorite. Like,
yeah,
if the Avs didn't have a cup yet, saying that about them would be fair, I think. There's not a lot of other teams that I think should be in that boat. Like, it's not every team can win the cup. That it's very difficult.
Yeah, there's 32 teams, only one can win it each year. There's a lot of good teams and good players in this league. So
yeah, and we see a lot of repeat winners as well, which knocks down the amount of variety of winners we get even more. You know, Tampa's got 2, Penguins, Florida, Blackhawks have 3, the Kings have 2. Like,
yeah,
there's not a ton of turnover with the cup.
No, there's really not. But with that, we are starting to get to the end of the episode here to wrap things up. Do we want to do our prediction on who we think will win the cup in this, or do we want to save it for something else?
You know what? I think we've gone over the first round very well. I think we should save that. I think we should save that for the YouTube video that we're going to be recording right after this, where we are going to be going over 5 hot takes / predictions from each of us. That one will be a YouTube exclusive. So if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this anywhere else, first of all, thank you. We're listening all the way to the end. But if you want to hear our hot takes and our official Stanley Cup predictions right before the playoffs start, go check that out on the Stick 'em Up YouTube channel.
There we go. Absolutely. So with that, we are over the 2-hour mark, so we are at the end of the episode here. No game today, but that's just because preparing for playoffs and
playoff game tomorrow.
All the buzz and excitement, and just looking forward to that. So we do want to thank all of you for tuning in. We do want to thank you if you've made to this point in the episode. If you just hopped around and went to the through the chapters and went to the matchups that you care for and want to hear our thoughts, that's all good too. We're just glad you're here.
That's what they're there for.
Braden, wrapping this one up here. We do gotta get the other the YouTube one out as well. But before we can get to that, before the playoffs start, as always, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. These playoffs are going to be fun. They always are. I know it is the most fun in the first round because there's the most teams there. And it gets a little more predictable down the stretch. There's less games every day. I am just going to implore everyone who is listening to watch as much hockey as you can in these playoffs. It is so fun. There's such a little chance you're going to regret doing it. And watch different teams. It's fun to go in and be like, holy shit, like, who's this? I've barely heard this name. I thought he was a third line grinder. This guy's electric in the playoffs. You get to see some of those fun performances. You get to see guys you're maybe not used to elevating their game. And at the end of the day, this is what the whole 82 game regular season led up to. So
see who the very best will be.
Might as well watch it and see what teams show their true colors.
Absolutely. And the NHL is better and better about staggering the game so there's not as much overlap. So you're kind of watching one game, and when that one goes into intermission, another one's on. And then, they do a good job about making sure that you can watch as much playoff hockey as possible without missing other games, which I absolutely do love. But that is it for this episode. One final time, do want to thank all of you for tuning in. We hope you made it to this point in the video. And if you want to talk hockey, let us know your thoughts, predictions, all of that. You can do so through the YouTube in the comments, through any of our socials. They are linked down below. We do have a Stick 'em Up bracket challenge set up. So if you want to join us in sharing your playoff predictions, and so you can do so through the NHL bracket challenge. It is the SEU bracket challenge. You can search it up there. It is free to join. It is public. You can access it and submit your brackets. If you can't find it, reach out to any of the socials or on YouTube, and we can send you a link to it as well. But that is it for this episode. Enjoy the playoffs, as we will. And as always, we will see all of you out on the ice next week.